was designed to recast herself as an abuse survivor, with Mr. Depp as the alleged abuser. The evidence will show that 6 days after Mr. Depp requested a divorce, and he did so politely, and 3 days after Ms. Heard's lawyer threatened Mr. Depp with claims of abuse if he did not agree to her financial demands.
Will you state your full name for the record?
Yes, Edward White. Many years ago, I founded Edward White & Company, Certified Public Accountants, and I am the managing and senior partner of the firm.
What is a certified public accounting firm?
A certified public accounting firm is authorized by a particular state, in my case California, to audit financial information and to certify the statements related thereto. Inspired as it relates to financial activity. So you do a study based upon financial records, you then look at contracts, you look at other financial information in an attempt to once again, not only ascertain what the results were, but what caused the results.
Have you ever previously testified in court?
Yes, I've been accepted as an expert witness in both the California court and the federal courts, and I have testified in matters involving the Department of Justice and the FBI.
Do you know Mr. Depp?
Yes, I do.
How'd you come to know Mr. Depp?
I met him because he was introduced to me by a senior executive at the Bank of California, Richard Smith.
Do you work with Mr. Depp?
Yes, I do.
In what capacity?
We are his business management firm.
How long have you served in that capacity?
By approximately 6 years.
What does that role involve?
Processing, managing his financial affairs. As you know, Mr. Depp is an amazing talent, internationally acclaimed for his work, but he relegated his financial activities to me and my colleagues, so we provide a wide variety of services for him.
Do you do this kind of work for other people?
Yes, we do. Numerous other clients.
When did you first become involved with Mr. Depp?
Approximately 6 years ago, after the introduction from Mr. Smith.
What was the nature of the work that you were to perform for him?
Initially, it was to perform a forensic study, evaluate his financial affairs, and to formulate recommendations on how he could manage his affairs in a more advantageous manner.
Did you play any role on Mr. Depp's behalf with respect to the dissolution of his marriage to Ms. Heard?
Yes, I was actively involved in the negotiations of the separation and the marriage dissolve.
What role did you play in those negotiations?
Well, in my capacity as his business manager, I understood his financial capacity and the tax implications associated with it. So I was actively involved in addressing those issues as they were forthcoming from counsel.
You mentioned tax implications. What are you talking about there?
Excuse me?
I think you just mentioned tax implications. What are you talking about there?
Well, what I was talking about is that when Ms. Heard began the negotiations, she was asking for approximately $4 million. That
Objection,
balance
Your Honor.
then was
Foundation,
increased.
Hearsay.
As a result of your involvement on behalf of Mr. Depp in the negotiation, what was your understanding of what Ms. Heard was looking for?
She initially was looking for a consideration of $4 million, but her demand continually increased. It went from $4 million to $5 million. Then it went from $5 million to $5.5 million. Then it went to $7 million. And then it was $7 million, and she demanded that Mr. Depp also pay $500,000 to her attorneys. Then, after that consideration, she also said that all the community liabilities that were accumulated
Objection,
during the
Your
course of the
Honor.
marriage, which approximated
Sorry, there's
$13.5
an
million.
objection, sir.
So the next demand was that all of the community liabilities that were unresolved, approximately $13.5 million, that Mr. Depp had to pay those liabilities in its entirety. So at that point, she was demanding $14,250,000 of consideration, and then it got worse. The next demand was that all of this consideration be paid to her free of taxation. And counselor, for him to pay $14,250,000 to Miss Heard, that would require him to earn approximately
Objection, Your Honor.
$30 million.
This is so far beyond the scope, so far beyond his foundation of what was discussed.
All right, I'll sustain that last answer. All right. Next question.
Did you make a proposal as to how payments would be made to Ms. Heard?
Yes, I did, and they were initially contemplated to be paid directly to the charities. The Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, for the benefit of the children who required severe medical service, and to the ACLU. During the course of the negotiations, one of the demands, because the contract changed, was that the payments be made directly to Ms. Heard.
Did you have any personal involvement with either the ACLU or the Children's Hospital?
Yes, I did.
What was that?
Mr. Depp directed me to issue two $100,000 checks directly to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. I knew that he was involved and supported their efforts and appreciated his service. In addition to that, he directed me to contribute $100,000 to ACLU. In accordance with his instructions, my colleagues drafted the checks, I executed them, and they were delivered to the two charities.
Did you continue making payments to either of those charities on Ms. Heard's behalf?
No, in fact, I was chastised for making the payments by Ms. Heard's counsel and told that the payments in the future had...
What role did you play with respect to the payments ultimately made to Ms. Heard?
We supplied the payments to Ms. Heard in accordance with the agreement, either on or before the date in which they were required to be paid. The first payments made to Ms. Heard was $2 million in 2017. Then in April of 2017, another payment of $1 million made payable directly to Ms. Heard was made. Then in August of 2017, another $1 million was paid directly to Ms. Heard. Then in November, $500,000 was paid directly to Ms. Heard. My colleagues drafted those checks, I executed them, they were delivered on a timely basis. Therefore, in 2017, she was paid $4.5 million directly paid to her. Then on February 1 of 2018, she was paid the final installment of $2.3 million for total payments that went directly to Ms. Heard of $6.8 million.
Do you know when this lawsuit was filed?
Yes, it was filed in March 1, 2019.
Were the payments that were made on Mr. Depp's behalf directly to Ms. Heard the only economic benefit she received? Were the payments made on to Ms. Heard the only economic benefits that she received from the settlement agreement?
No, as I shared with you earlier, Mr. Depp was required to pay $500,000 to Ms. Heard's counsel, which he did in a timely and respectful manner. He was also required to pay all the community liabilities, which accumulated during their 15-month marriage, was approximately $13,500,000. So he paid all the community liabilities. She paid none of them. That's why you have to aggregate the money that was paid directly to her, the money that was paid to her to the charities on her behalf, the money that was paid to her attorneys, and the relief of all these liabilities that he had to satisfy. That's why I said to you, Counselor, that the total consideration paid to her was $14,250,000, and she demanded that that payment be made free of taxation, that Mr. Depp would have to satisfy all the tax liabilities.
You stated you would be donating half of the $7 million to the ACLU,
That's correct.
and you would be donating the other half to Children's Hospital of Los Angeles.
That is correct.
And you also stated, with respect to the $7 million divorce settlement, that money played no role except for the extent that you could donate the money to charity.
Yes, that's correct.
If we could please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1259. This is an article entitled Amber Heard Donates Johnny Depp Divorce Settlement to Charity. Read her statement in full. Is that correct?
That's what the title says, yes.
Directing your attention to the portion on the second page where it says, quote, read the statement below. Is that the statement you released, Ms. Heard?
That is correct.
Your Honor, I move to admit the statement and the article as redacted.
Objection, hearsay.
It's her statement.
This is not her statement. This is some.
She just testified, Your Honor, that it's her statement.
May I say the full?
Everything else is redacted.
Okay, then I have no objection.
All right, 1259 in evidence as redacted.
The statement reads, as described in the restraining order and divorce settlement, money played no role for me personally and never has, except to the extent that I could donate it to charity, and in doing so, hopefully help those less able to defend themselves. As reported in the media, the amount received in the divorce was $7 million, and $7 million is being donated. This is over and above any funds that I have given away in the past and will continue to give away in the future. Did I read that correctly?
That is correct. I don't remember that last line, but I have no, it doesn't stand out to me as wrong.
There's nothing inaccurate in the statement.
Not that I recognize, no.
Mr. Depp donated $100,000 of the divorce settlement directly to the ACLU. Is that right?
Right at the beginning of the divorce settlement, he donated $100,000 to each charity on my behalf or towards my contribution.
So $100,000
To each.
to the ACLU.
And to the Children's Hospital.
And in response, you publicly demanded that Mr. Depp pay the divorce settlement directly to you instead of the charities, right?
That was always the agreement, actually, is for him to pay me directly. It was not his money as per the settlement agreement to give away and reap a tax benefit from. I said if he wants to do it and give to charity all of a sudden, then he should pay the correct amount and not try to get a big tax break for it. So effectively for his tax bracket, he should be paying double that amount to the charity directly. And if he wanted to pay the charity directly, he could. He could do that, was fine with me, but he would need to pay the adjusted amount.
Ultimately, the rest of the $7 million divorce settlement was paid directly to you, right?
Over time, yes.
And Mr. Depp didn't end up paying the rest of the $7 million divorce settlement directly to the charities you identified.
That is correct. He paid them installments to me.
You stopped that from happening, didn't you?
I don't understand what your question is. I'm sorry.
You stopped Mr. Depp from paying the charities that you had named directly.
That is incorrect. I said if you want to pay the charities directly, pay the adjusted amount, or pay as per our agreement in the settlement or in the divorce, as per our agreement.
You also
And he
publicly
chose to do the former, not the latter. I mean, the other way around.
You also publicly stated that the $7 million divorce settlement should be paid to the charities immediately in full, right?
If he wanted to pay it in the way that he was suggesting, yes.
And you said publicly that the payments to the charities should not be drawn out over many years, right?
I said that I don't recall the exact words that I used, but basically that he shouldn't use this as a novel interest in getting a tax break, that if he wanted to do that and not pay me the settlement, that was fine, but he would have to pay the adjusted amount and not make it, a commitment he would not fulfill or try to avoid in some other way.
And that's because you wanted the entire world to think that you were donating every penny of the $7 million divorce settlement as soon as you received it from Mr. Depp. Isn't that right?
No, I was going to be receiving it in installments, and I would be paying in installments the donations.
In fact, you released a statement in response to Mr. Depp's $100,000 donations to the ACLU and CHLA, didn't you?
I don't recall.
Let's see if we can refresh your recollection. If we could please pull up Plaintiff's Exhibit 1260. This is an article entitled Amber Heard and Johnny Depp Row Over Divorce Donations. And if I could direct your attention to where it says, I believe it's on the second page, her spokeswoman responded in a statement. The language that follows the statement you released.
Objection, hearsay, spokeswoman, it's not her.
A spokesperson is an exception, Your Honor.
You want to come forward? Okay.
Your Honor, would you like to see one as well?
No, that's all right. That's fine. Thank you.
Can't read it, she has to show it
The
to
language
her.
that follows. Her spokeswoman responded in a statement.
Your
The
Honor-
language that follows.
Your Honor, again, she can't read it, she has to show it
The
to
language
her.
that follows. You released a statement after Mr. Depp donated $100,000 to the ACLU and $100,000 to CHLA. Correct, Ms. Heard?
I think so, yes.
Okay. And the language that follows is the statement you released in response to Mr. Depp's donations, right?
I don't know if this is the official statement. I have no idea.
The statement that reads, starts
Objection,
at
Your Honor.
Amber Heard. That's the only thing I'm going to say. Would you please read that to yourself, Ms. Heard?
Yes.
Did you read all the way to the very bottom where the last word is supported?
Yes.
Okay. That's the statement you released through your spokeswoman after Mr. Depp made the donations to the CHLA and the ACLU. Correct, Ms. Heard?
I do not recall exactly what my statement was. I don't disagree with anything in the statement, but I just simply don't recall what the statement was we released.
Is there anything inaccurate in that statement, Ms. Heard?
No.
Okay. I'm going to move to admit.
Objection, Your Honor, lack of foundation.
I'll overrule the objection. 1260 and evidence over objection.
Thank you, Your Honor. The statement reads, Amber Heard appreciates Johnny Depp's novel interest in supporting two of her favorite charities, the ACLU, American Civil Liberties Union for Domestic Violence, and the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles. This is great and unexpected news. And it continues. However, if Johnny wishes to change the settlement agreement, we must insist that he honor the full amount by donating $14 million to charity, which, after accounting for his tax deduction, is equal to his $7 million payment obligation to Amber. And it continues. We would also insist that the full amount be paid immediately and not drawn out over many years. Anything less would be a transparent attempt by Johnny's counsel, Laura Wasser and Patty Glazer, to reduce their client's true payment by half under the guise of newfound concern for charities that he has never previously supported, end quote. Did I read that correctly?
Yes.
After this, you kept commenting about the donation of your divorce settlement, right?
I don't know what you mean by that.
Okay. You spoke about donating your divorce settlement on a Danish TV show, correct?
I believe I said I had. I believe I said I donated it to charity, but it was already printed or already commented on and stated in the press. I had already released that information in the press. I think I just confirmed it on that show.
You appeared on a show called RTL Late Night, right?
I don't recall what show it was.
If we could please play Plaintiff's Exhibit 346, which is a portion of your appearance on this program. And we would ask that it be moved into evidence and ask for
any
permission
objection?
to
Your
publish
Honor,
it.
it contains, it has hearsay, it contains other communications with other individuals.
Your Honor, if we may approach very briefly.
$7 million in total was donated to, I split it between the ACLU and Children's Hospital of Los Angeles.
ACLU is a human rights organization.
Sorry, ACLU is a prominent organization, nonprofit organization in the United States.
Yeah.
It's called the American
Right.
Civil Liberties Union, and they work on behalf of marginalized communities on the ground and in legislative reform.
Right.
And
Well, more power to you, because that's something that I've never heard
I wanted
of.
nothing.
This interview was in October of 2018, right, Ms. Heard?
I don't recall when it was.
It was in 2018, right, Ms. Heard?
I don't remember when this was done.
This was after you had received the full $7 million of your divorce settlement from Mr. Depp, wasn't it?
Again, without knowing when it was recorded, I have no idea.
The $7 million divorce settlement was paid to you in full by February of 2018, right?
That's correct.
Let's take a look at Defendant's Exhibit 1458, which is already in evidence. This is the deal point memorandum from your divorce settlement, right, Ms. Heard?
Yes, that's what it looks like.
And if we go down to the bottom of page 4, there's a heading labeled Equalization Payment. Do you see that?
Yes.
And underneath, so the first payment is scheduled for August 31st, 2016, and that's $200,000, correct?
Yes, that is correct.
Mr. Depp's accountant, Edward White, testified that he made that payment directly.
You got to turn on your microphone, Ms. Berderhoff. I'm not going to hear you.
Objection to her testifying to what Mr. White testified to. That
Okay.
It's a he literally testified to it in court.
I'll overrule objection. Okay.
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Depp's accountant, Edward White, testified that he made the payment directly to the ACLU and CHLA, correct?
I believe so.
These were all made to you, weren't they?
That is correct.
And the final payment of $2.3 million is on February 1st, 2018, right?
The final payment, yes.
And you were here in court when Mr. White testified that the payments were all made on schedule.
I'm going to object to her testifying to what Mr. White testified to.
I'll
It's an
overrule
improper.
objection. Go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor. And you were here in court when Mr. White testified that the payments were all made on schedule, right?
I don't believe they were. He might have
That's
testified
not my
to that.
question, Ms. Heard. My question was, you were here in court when Mr. White testified under oath that all the payments were made on schedule.
I was here every day in court. I heard his testimony, yes.
Okay. So back to October of 2018, this was before Mr. Depp sued you for defamation, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
He didn't sue you until after the op-ed came out in December of 2018, right?
He sued me in 2019.
And the op-ed came out in December of 2018.
That is correct.
So in October of 2018, you had received your entire $7 million divorce settlement. You would agree with me?
That is correct.
Okay. And you hadn't yet been sued by Mr. Depp.
This is October, correct.
So in this October 2018 interview, you said that you had, quote, donated, end quote, your entire divorce settlement to charity, right?
That's correct.
And in fact, your exact words were, quote, $7 million in total was donated to, I split it between the ACLU and the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, end quote, right?
That's correct. I made that statement as soon as I got a divorce and we reached the settlement. That's when I pledged it, right then.
And you say this because you, quote, wanted nothing, end quote.
That is correct.
But you hadn't donated your entire $7 million settlement to charity at that point, had you?
That's incorrect.
Sitting here today, Ms. Heard, you still haven't donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity. Isn't that right?
Incorrect. I pledged the entirety of the
Ms. Heard,
settlement, $7 million
that's not my
to
question.
charity, and I
Ms.
intend to
Heard, Ms.
fulfill
Heard,
those obligations.
Ms. Heard, that's not my question. Please,
What was
try
your
to answer
question?
my question. Sitting here today, you have not donated the $7 million, donated, not pledged, donated the $7 million divorce settlement to charity.
I use pledge and donation synonymous with one another. They
But
do
I
the same
don't.
thing.
Ms. Heard, I don't use it synonymously.
That's how donations are paid.
Ms. Heard, respectfully, that's not my question. As of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the ACLU. Yes or no?
I have not yet.
And as of today, you have not paid $3.5 million of your own money to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles, correct?
I have not yet. Johnny sued me.
So as of today, you have not donated, paid $7 million of your divorce settlement to charity, right?
I have not been able to fulfill those obligations yet.
And that's because you did want something. didn't you?
I didn't want anything and I didn't get anything.
You wanted Mr. Depp's money.
Didn't get it, wasn't interested in it. I loved Johnny, that's why I was with him.
You wanted praise for donating the money, right?
That's incorrect.
You wanted good press.
In general, one does want good press, yes.
You wanted to seem altruistic publicly.
Wasn't my interest. My interest is in my name and clearing my name, and at the time I was being called a liar and my motives were being questioned. I did see it as important to clear that up. I wanted to make a statement to make sure that there was not any doubt that I couldn't be labeled these things just because Johnny was a bigger star and had more publicity reach.
You wanted to remind everyone of your claims of domestic violence against Mr. Depp, right?
No, I wanted to move on with my life.
You wanted to make those claims seem believable.
They are believable. They were
You wanted
believable.
them to be seen, you wanted to be seen, excuse me, as a noble victim of domestic violence,
I
didn't
have
you?
never wanted to be seen as a victim. Nor have I
You-
ever called myself one.
You testified under oath that, quote, the entirety of your divorce settlement was donated to charity, end quote, didn't you?
That's correct. I pledged the entirety.
No. Ms. Heard, my questions. Your counsel will have time to redirect you after. You testified under oath, quote, the entirety of your divorce settlement was donated to charity, end quote.
That is correct. I pledged the entirety.
I'm going to move to strike everything after yes.
All right.
No. Ms. Hurt, this is really inappropriate.
I'll sustain the objection and we'll just move forward.
Thank you.
Let's move forward. Next question.
Under oath, that statement wasn't true, was it, Ms. Heard?
I'm sorry, I don't follow your question. Sorry.
You testified under oath, quote, the entirety of my divorce settlement was donated to charity, end quote. That statement wasn't true.
It is true. I pledged the entirety to charity.
The statement...
When you say you buy a house, you don't pay
Ms.
for the
Heard,
entire house
Ms. Heard,
at one
respectfully,
time. You pay it
I'm
over
not
time.
asking, Ms. Heard.
All right. Next question, please.
Thank you. That statement isn't true today, as you sit here today, is it?
It is true. I pledged the entirety.
But
to
you didn't
charity.
donate it.
Unfortunately,
You didn't donate it. It's a yes or no.
I haven't been able to to fulfill those
So that's a no,
obligations.
right, Ms. Heard?
I made the pledge. I want to be very clear. I pledged the entirety. I haven't been able to fulfill those pledges because I've been sued.
You had all of the $7 million for 13 months before Mr. Depp sued you, and you chose not to pay it to the charities you pledged it to. Is that correct, Ms.
I
Heard?
disagree with your characterization of that.
Let's look at your sworn testimony from the UK. This is your third witness statement that you submitted in the UK action, right, Ms. Heard?
Correct.
And this statement was made under oath, true?
That is true.
I'm directing your attention to the last page of that statement. That's your signature, right?
Yes, it is.
So you made this sworn statement on February 26, 2020.
That's correct.
And directing your attention to paragraph 4. It says, quote, I remained financially independent from him the whole time we were together, and the entire amount of my divorce settlement was donated to charity, end quote.
That is correct.
Did I read that correctly?
Yes, you did.
The him you were referring to is Mr. Depp.
That is correct.
Most of the money that was donated to the ACLU and CHLA in your name came from someone else. Isn't that right?
I don't know what you mean by most of.
Well, at least $500,000 that was donated to the ACLU in your name wasn't paid by you, right?
I believe Elon made a donation in my honor on one of the years.
Yeah, and it didn't come out of your $7 million divorce settlement, right?
No, nor did it count towards my pledge.
And at least $500,000 that was donated to the Children's Hospital of Los Angeles in your name wasn't paid by you either.
Right, those were made at the same time.
And it didn't come out of your $7 million divorce settlement.
Nor did it count to my 3.5 obligation.
Those $500,000 payments came from your new boyfriend, Elon Musk, right?
I don't know if he was a new boyfriend at the time.
You got him to pay part of what you promised to these two charities, didn't you?
Incorrect.
Because you wanted to keep at least some of the $7 million divorce settlement for yourself, right?
You're very wrong about that.
I think this, if Your Honor's
Okay,
fine,
you said
this is a good
it's
stopping
breaking
point.
point. Okay, that's fine.